Story 1. I've fallen in love with the husband of the woman my husband is cheating on me with. I'm 36, female, and my husband is 38, male. We've been together for 10 years. We have one daughter, who's 6. She's everything to me. I found out a year ago that my husband is sleeping with his employee, female 30. How? Her husband, let's call him Jay, male 35, contacted me. He was heartbroken and he thought that I ought to know. He provided me with text messages and dated when they've been in hotels. I recognized my husband's style, and I recognized the other woman. I have seen her on multiple occasions when I visited my husband at work. She'd been nothing but kind and pleasant towards me, and she always doted on my daughter. I asked Jay what he wanted to do, and he said that he wasn't sure yet, so I requested that we should meet. He agreed. I told him about my life and that I'm currently not working. After the pandemic, I lost my job, and now the economy, I haven't really had an opportunity to find a job. Instead, I've been studying these past 2 years. If I divorce now, I won't be able to provide for my daughter. That would probably put her in my husband's custody as a primary provider. I asked him if he could wait a few months, hopefully longer, therefore, and to my surprise, he agreed. I thanked him profusely, and he told me that he didn't know what to do either, so he's happy to wait. Also, the other woman has 3 children from a previous relationship, and he was worried that she would refuse him being in their lives once he confronted her because he's not the father. We kept in touch, however. He called me a few times a week, and soon we started to talk about other things other than our failed marriages. Afterwards, we started going for walks, coffee, movies, etc. I found myself thinking about him often with a smile on my face. He was the first thing I thought of in the morning and the last thing I thought of before going to bed. For the last 3 to 4 months, we probably mentioned our spouses once or twice. We talk about everything else, and he always makes me laugh. He thinks I'm funny too. 2 weeks ago, we were having a picnic, and he just blurted out, "I think that I'm in love with you." When he then explained himself, it just drove the point home that I also am in love with him. He said that at first he wasn't sure why he was feeling like this towards me and explained it away as 2 jilted people finding comfort in each other, but that he then realized that he wasn't broken anymore. That he even thinks of his wife's infidelity as a blessing because it leads him to me. That was exactly how I felt too. I didn't know what to say. I told him that I'm terrified that these are false feelings that would go away once we're freed ourselves from those who hurt us. He just beamed at me and said he was willing to take the risk just to find out. He kissed my hand because I thought we were still married, and if we did something, then how are we better than our significant others? I don't know what to do now. I find myself daydreaming about him, about introducing him to my daughter, kiss him, wake up next to him every morning. I still have 1 semester left, and then I'm probably going to find a job. I've already had some offers for when I'm finished with my studies. I have thanked Jay so many times for being so patient with me about everything. I appreciate that he's waiting for me to put my life in order before we expose our spouses who aren't really seeing each other as often as they used to. He told me he's happy to help and he just wants a real kiss as a thank you when everything is over. My goal now is to secure my job and leave this marriage. Am I pathetic for wanting to give Jay and I a shot and see where it would go? Can 2 broken hearts really find happiness together when their love story starts like ours? I don't have much experience on this. I don't think I could tell you really what would happen. It could go either way. Maybe you 2 find happiness in each other, and maybe after you've ended everything, yeah, I mean, it's just going to be very much a wake-up call to the spouses that, hey, your actions have consequences. Maybe it goes the other way. Maybe after this, you find that it was just an illusion from what you were going through after all. It's kind of hard to say. And it sounds like you're not really cheating on each other in the way that these two are. And it doesn't sound like you are. I hope you aren't. But yeah, I mean, right now it just depends on you two. Do you really want to give it a shot? Story 2. I pretend I'm an influencer, so I'll do basic chores. For the past 3 months, I've been pretending to be an influencer. I tend to go through serious bouts of depression. I won't shower or eat. I just lay in bed and rot. However, I've recently discovered that if I record myself and pretend that I'm talking to an audience, I'm able to motivate myself to get ready and go to work. This also goes for my chores. I'll do a time-lapse video of myself doing the dishes, laundry, and everything else that I'll need to do. I don't post the videos anywhere, and I don't show the videos to anyone. They're just really fun to look back on, and it makes me happy to see that I've accomplished things while feeling this awful about life. Yeah, nothing wrong with that, I don't think. I think it's just the modern version of like a diary. There were some people that would just write about stuff that was happening in their lives and just write it out. And it wasn't until the internet and blogging came out that some people decided to make it public. And so, yeah, you just invented a video diary, and it sounds like it's helping you. Excellent job. Really good way to figure out what to do to get you out and moving. Story 3. I don't think your kid will like my candy, lady, but whatever. Since there's only a week left of summer, I decided to take the kids to the local amusement/water park today. As I've gotten older, the rides have gotten a little tougher on me. In addition, my daughter tends to get motion sick rather easily. I don't like the way motion sickness pills make me feel, so I always take a Ziploc baggie full of ginger candy along to prevent and soothe nausea. Today, I had chewy mango ginger candies, hard plain ginger candies, and hard lemon ginger candies. For those who have never had ginger candy, it is spicy. The lemon ginger is probably the mildest. The plain ginger is just plain hot. Mango ginger is sweet and spicy, but it also sticks to your teeth like crazy. They're definitely an acquired taste. As we're standing in line for the log ride, I pull out my baggie. I choose a lemon one, as did my son, 13. My daughter, 12, asks for a mango one. While I'm fishing a mango out, I hear the kid in front of us tell his mom that he, around 7-ish, wants some candy. His mom distractedly says she doesn't have any candy. The boy says, "But she does." He turns to me and asks for one. I tell him I don't really think he'd like my candy. By this time, his mom has focused on the interaction. As the kid starts to whine that, of course, he'd like my candy, his mom just huffs and says, "You've got a whole baggie. Can't you give him just one? Come on, don't be greedy." Oh, you said the magic word there, lady. I say, all right, and dig out a lemon one. I'm not completely heartless. That's when the kid whines that he wants mango. Mango is his favorite. I tell him lemon is better, but he insists on mango. I tell him it's kind of sticky as I hand it over. The kid rips it open, shoves it in his mouth, gets in 3 quick chews while my kids stare at him. Then he actually starts to taste it, and a look of horror comes on his face. He screams and tries to spit it out. He's jumping around and flapping his arms. His mom is panicking and asking what's wrong. He screams that it's bad and it's hot, and he wants it out. His mom tells him to spit it out. That's when I pipe in with a very helpful, "It's really sticky. What's left is probably stuck in his teeth. He'll have to wait for it to melt off if he doesn't want to chew. The mom looks at me in disbelief and a shrug. Then she asks what in the hell I gave her son. Probably should have asked that sooner, lady. I answer, ginger candy. It's good for nausea. I'm pretty sure I'd be unalive if looks could really fatal people. We got to move up in line 2 spaces, though, because she whisked her kid off to a water fountain. I'd like to think the kid will think twice about demanding things from strangers. Plus, it was entertaining. Overall, the kids and I counted it as a win. Right. People think they're entitled to other people's property, and then when they get it, yeah, maybe you should have asked some questions first. Exactly. Taking candy from strangers is not always a very sweet deal. I can't believe I just said that. Story 4. Teenage Babysitter's Revenge. I took a night for a household that was on my paper route. They asked me to be there on a Saturday for 8:30, and I arrived a few minutes early. The parents were still getting ready, and they asked me to watch the kids while they prepared to head out. They left the house at about 9:15. Before they headed out, the wife gave me some very specific instructions. I could have a snack, 2 Oreos on the counter, nothing else. She said she poured a glass of milk for me and left it in the fridge. It was right next to the plastic milk jug, with a piece of tape on it showing the level. She told me she'd check it when she got back, and if I took any extra milk, I would have to answer for it. The kids were okay, went to bed without any fuss, and the parents returned home at 12:20. Mommy paid me for 3 hours about 10 minutes after they arrived. Excuse me, but this isn't right. I got here before 8:30, and now it's almost 12:30. That's 4 hours, not 3. We didn't leave until 9:15, and we got home at 12:15. I'm only paying you for 3 hours. But I was watching the kids from 8:30. That doesn't matter. We were home, and you weren't in charge. We were. I took the money and rode my bike home. A couple of weeks later, they did pretty much the same thing. 2 things are important. First, the wife was a neat freak. I'm guessing now she has OCD. Everything was lined up perfectly. One of the kids spilled his drink, and I was looking for some paper towels. The cleaning supplies under the sink were perfectly lined up. Same with the pantry. Every jar and can was in a row with the label facing directly to the front. Second, this was in the mid-1970s, and all canned food had paper labels. So the third time they called me in to babysit, they were late leaving again, and I knew that I was going to get shortchanged for the time I was there. I was steaming. So I went to the pantry and tore the labels off each and every can. All of them. She had a shelf for Campbell's soups, another for canned veggies, another for canned fruits, and I had scrambled the unlabeled cans. When they got home, sure enough, wifey tried to short me. You know what? Keep your money. I don't want it, and I am never babysitting for you again. And as of today, I'm stopping delivering your newspapers as well. So if you want to read the paper, you're going to have to go buy it at a corner store. I stormed out. I wish I could have seen the expression on her face when she opened the pantry door and saw shelf after shelf of bare metal cans. Ooh, a little bit of, I don't think you'd call that pro-revenge, just straight-up revenge. And yeah, definitely very bold to be able to go through with a third night and not get any money for it. Definitely let them know where you're coming from. But all in all, great response for being shortchanged, even after giving them a chance to redeem themselves.
Please like and subscribe if you've made it this far. I hope you'll enjoy the rest of the video and have a wonderful day.
Story 5. My terminally ill ex-husband asked to see me one last time, but my current husband said he'd divorce me if I do it. My ex-husband and I got divorced 3 years ago. We didn't have any kids, although we wanted them so badly. We knew each other for about 10 years, and we had been through so much together. He helped me out when my family abandoned me and quit his job to move with me. He even helped me get my degree, and I never wanted us to divorce, but he was the one to initiate because he was secretly diagnosed with a medical condition and said he didn't want to ruin what we had and become a burden. He's very sick right now and has asked to see me probably for the last time. My current husband got extremely upset with me when I mentioned it to him and threatened to divorce me if I go. I'm 5 months pregnant and feel like I'm seeing a side of my now husband that I never saw before. He called this inappropriate and that my ex was being manipulative. He told me he'd divorce me if I see him, but this could be my last chance to say goodbye to him. I can't even imagine how terrible I'd feel if he passes away without seeing him for the last time, but there's a lot at stake here, and I don't want to sneak behind my husband's back. Kind of sounds like there's more going on here. It's kind of sucks that there's a kid on the way that kind of complicates the relationships. Why is the current husband so worried about this? I mean, this is going to be like for the last time. It's not like you're going to be rekindling a relationship. It's really very manipulative. I don't know. I would, for me, like I said, can't give legal advice, but maybe consult a lawyer. If he does divorce over this, I don't think he's got much of a case to stand on. Story 6. Entire class skips optional early start to lab. We were given an hour for lunch, and we're going to take all of our time. I'm a second-year veterinary student. This is the time when we start our live surgery labs. We work in teams of 3 students, a surgeon, an assistant, and an anesthesiast, and are obviously overseen by certified specialists, anesthesiologists and surgeons, and many experienced vet nurses as well. We have lectures from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. Lunch is 11 to 12. Our lab begins at 12 p.m. sharp. However, we were told we have the option to come in to the lab early and begin. It became very clear after the first week this is an expectation, not an option, that we will skip lunch or eat during lecture and come straight to the OR. During one lab at 11:50 a.m., the anesthesiologist yelled at a student for a few minutes in the pharmacy area while getting substances for us for the lab, for not having his patient ready and waiting in the induction room. 10 minutes before the lab even begins. And this group was set to induce during the last wave, normally 1 to 1.5 plus hours into the lab. There's no reason to be an hour early when your group is the final wave. Being on time is sufficient, and they were actually still early. Our class has been getting berated by this anesthesiologist as well as some of the surgeons in this lab. Just as one example, a student surgeon asked for help. A surgical resident came over from another patient to help, and she was now not sterile. The resident told the student she was holding her forceps wrong, proceeded to grab them from her hands, and then made the student leave her patient on the table to re-scrub, re-gown, and re-glove, and open a new instrument pack. All because she wanted to ask a question. This is a common technique that we'll use on us when we've done something incorrect to get us to remember next time. Well, the entire class is fed up with this. Our class called a meeting about it, and we all decided we are all going to start showing up to the lab at 11:50 to 11:55 a.m., only 5 to 10 minutes early. Not for petty reasons either, but it's a matter of patient safety as well. Several students have fainted from skipping lunch to go and operate instead. We were given 11 to 12 for lunch, and we're going to take all of our time. So that's what we did. At 11:40 a.m., one of the surgeons came to our lecture hall, where the majority of us stay and eat lunch, and asked us why we're not in the lab yet. A student at the front of the room said simply, "The lab begins at 12 noon." The surgeon gave us a long spiel about professionalism and about how we are being inappropriate and putting our patients at risk, and she left. The OR is a 2-minute walk from the lecture hall, so we finished lunch and all showed up around 11:55. The clinicians were very mad about it and reported our class to the dean, and so the dean called a school-wide meeting about it. Some of our classmates spoke eloquently about our reasons and our actual patient safety concern, turning it right back to the clinicians, citing patient safety. And the school claims to care immensely about student mental health, since the profession has one of the highest self-unaliving rates, and our own class even suffered a loss. And cutting our break/lunch is no way to support us. Beyond that, the schedule says we begin at 12, and we are still showing up a few minutes early to ensure we can begin right at 12. Ultimately, the dean just released a statement saying they cannot force us to begin lab an hour early, and we will start at 12 when the dean's office scheduled lab to begin. It's a small win for us. Certainly, we will face backlash, but we have a break to eat at least. Our class is known for not putting up with hogwash from the school. We got a dinosaur of a professor fired for racist comments she made to a student in the middle of a lecture. After she had terrorized students at this school for decades, she forgot that lectures were automatically recorded on Zoom during COVID. We are hated by the clinicians, but at least the classes behind us are having a slightly better time. Yeah, exactly. It's a lot like work. Stand up for what you need. Exactly. You've already suffered a loss on this, and you are able to make your case. Definitely, you need time to eat. You need time to get a break before you start in on the lab. And it sounds like you're doing just fine holding together and standing up. This wasn't just your first victory. Bravo.
Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.